Why do some women seem to grow even more magnetic with age, while others seem to vanish from men's perception altogether? It's not luck, nor is it some unfair twist of fate. It's a mirror of the inner world, a reflection of what Carl Jung called the emergence of the self, a mature, whole personality no longer dependent on external validation. True feminine allure is not built on makeup, youth, or flawless facial features. Its source lies much deeper, in how you feel inside, how you move through the world, what kind of energy you bring into a space. A woman becomes irresistible not when she tries to please, but when she returns to herself, to her true nature, her inner awareness, her core values. That is what makes her magnetic, even long past the age most associate with beauty. Carl Jung wrote that the unconscious always strives toward wholeness. This means your power lies in becoming fully yourself, without masks, without performance, without the fear of being not enough. In this text, I'll show you 7 deep habits that can awaken the kind of power within you that makes a woman unforgettable. Don't miss the 6th and 7th habits. These are the keys to your inner transformation. And if you're already starting to feel a shift within, stay with me. There's more than just inspiration ahead. There's a discovery that could support this transformation on a physical level too. Are you ready to stop being the one who tries to earn attention and start becoming the one others long to be near? Then let's begin. Habit 1. Confidence, your invisible crown. Confidence isn't a loud voice, a flirtatious laugh, or a desperate attempt to be seen. It's a quiet dignity, a presence that's felt before a woman says a single word. This is how Carl Jung described the manifestation of inner maturity, not as a mask, but as the result of integrating all aspects of the self, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. A woman who embodies this wholeness does not ask for love, she radiates it. She doesn't need compliments, because she's already accepted herself. She isn't afraid of being alone, because she has become her own anchor. Her power isn't aggressive, it's calm, like the depth of a lake. When such a woman enters a room, the energy shifts, not because of her dress, her makeup, or her jewelry, but because she knows exactly who she is. Jung said, "What we do not make conscious, we project onto others." A woman who has walked the path of self-discovery no longer needs projections. She has embraced her flaws, her desires, her wounds. That's what makes her free and, in turn, incredibly attractive. Now pause for a second. As you reflect on this kind of power, the kind that doesn't shout but draws others in, ask yourself, what if your body could reflect that same inner alignment? There are ways to support this journey, not only emotionally but physically, in ways you may have never imagined. But we'll come back to that in a moment. Think, who do you want to listen to more? The one who shouts about her worth, or the one whose quiet presence already speaks volumes? That's why confidence isn't a blaring orchestra, it's an inner attunement, like a warm, steady chord. Picture this. 2 women walk into the same cafe. One is young, striking, but she keeps checking her phone, adjusting her hair, as if looking for reassurance. Am I okay? The other walks slowly, her chin slightly lifted, her face open and serene, her steps unhurried. And in her gaze, there's no rush. Who draws more glances? The one whose energy is whole. Jung emphasized the importance of a conscious relationship with the body as the vessel of the soul. So posture isn't just a pose, it's a dialogue with the world. Straight shoulders, a lifted spine, a soft but steady gaze. These aren't just visual cues. They're the physical expression of your internal stance. I belong here. I am worthy. And here's a thought. What if the way you nourish your body could speak that same language? What if something simple and natural could support that internal signal of self-worth and presence? Confidence, then, is not armor. It's not cold indifference. It's a warm, internal steadiness that says, I don't need approval to value myself. It's the habit of respecting your feelings without suppressing them, and at the same time, not being ruled by them. To cultivate this state, begin with small rituals. Each morning, look into your own eyes in the mirror, not with criticism, but with acceptance, as you would look at a beloved friend. Don't slouch, even when tired. Not because it looks good, but because your body deserves to stand with pride. Don't rush to speak. Savor the pause. Let every word be a conscious choice, not a reflex. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Confidence begins when you stop reacting automatically and start choosing consciously how you speak, how you walk, how you look, how you remain silent. Let every step you take speak of dignity. Let even your silence hum with value. Because confidence isn't something seen, it's something felt. And as you continue listening, remember, these habits are not about becoming someone else. They're about returning to your most radiant version. And if you're curious how that radiance could extend beyond the emotional and into your metabolism, your energy, your physical essence, what I'll share later might just surprise you. Now, let's move to the second habit. It will show you the power of letting go, and in doing so, becoming desired. This changes the entire game. Habit 2. Letting go and becoming desired. One of the most self-sabotaging illusions fueled by the fear of loneliness is the belief that attention must be held at any cost. Reply immediately, always be available, never miss a moment. But in reality, this very behavior is often what drives others away. Carl Jung wrote, "What we cling to too tightly slips away. What we release with trust returns on its own." In that simple truth lies a profound feminine secret. Attractiveness doesn't come from proving your worth. It comes from knowing it quietly. A woman who doesn't chase attention carries a mystery that begs to be unraveled. Her behavior doesn't scream, "Notice me." It calmly declares, "I'm here." And she doesn't run after those who drift away. She allows them to come to her. Why does this work? Because a woman's energy is a currency men intuitively feel. If she's endlessly available, without pause, without breath, her value fades. It's like a beautiful landscape seen through the window every day. At first, breathtaking, but over time, you stop noticing. And when that landscape disappears, you begin to miss it. Think of how often you've rushed to respond to messages. Not because you genuinely wanted to, but because you felt you had to. How often have you shaped your day around the anticipation of a call? How often have you lost yourself, dissolving into thoughts about someone else? That doesn't attract, it exhausts, both the man and, more importantly, you. A woman who doesn't cling isn't cold. She simply refuses to merge with anxiety. Her presence is like a subtle fragrance, like music drifting in from another room, unobtrusive, but undeniably alluring. And here's something beautiful to remember. That same quiet energy, when aligned with your body's natural rhythm, becomes even more powerful. You'll soon discover a surprising way to harmonize your inner state with your physical presence, naturally, effortlessly, without strain. This isn't manipulation. It's a state of being. She respects her time, her emotions, her life. And a man senses this. To be near her, one must be worthy. Jung emphasized that love cannot be willed into existence. It is born from freedom. That's why a magnetic woman doesn't knock on closed doors. She remains open to the one who knocks first. She isn't closed, but she has boundaries. To embody this habit, stop checking your phone every 10 minutes. Trust life. Don't plan your schedule around his convenience. Let him find his place in your reality. Don't be afraid to be a bit of a mystery. That's your strength. Devote yourself to your own life. Sign up for yoga. Take a dance class, start writing essays, read what inspires you, wrap yourself in your own essence. A woman immersed in her process, her creativity, her growth, radiates a magnetism that doesn't stir anxiety, but evokes admiration. And if he messages you, reply when you feel genuine desire to, not out of fear of losing something. Self-respect will always be more powerful than the fear of losing someone's attention. And maybe now you're wondering, if I've been giving so much of myself, where do I begin to reclaim that energy? Start by turning inward, and soon I'll show you a fascinating discovery, something simple, rooted in nature, that can help you reconnect not only with your energy, but with your physical vitality as well. Because the woman who is most attractive isn't the one who's always available. It's the one with her own axis, her own center, her own life. That's not coldness, that's maturity. That's the feminine wisdom that arrives when you're tired of being convenient. Letting go doesn't mean pushing away, it means being chosen again, not because you're simply there, but because you are truly valuable. Now imagine this. Your presence speaks for you before you even say a word. Your posture, your style, your scent. Habit 3. A style that speaks without words. A real woman is not packaging. She is not a trend. She is not conformity. She is energy encoded in details. Carl Jung said, "A symbol is the best possible expression of something not yet fully known." Style is exactly that. A symbol. It reflects the unconscious. It speaks for you. It tells the story you haven't yet voiced. When a woman chooses clothing, she might just be flipping through hangers. But when a mature woman selects what to wear, she's not looking for fabric. She's seeking expression, her sign, her archetype, her rhythm. Style is not imitation. It's not surrendering to seasonal trends. It's the inner voice finding outer form. That's why even in the simplest outfit, a woman can look like royalty if she is in harmony with herself. And harmony, it's not just visual. The moment you feel at ease in your own skin, your presence becomes magnetic. And yes, there's a way to amplify that feeling, from the inside out. Think, why do some women look mesmerizing in jeans and a white shirt, while others get lost in a crowd, even in designer dresses and full makeup? Because the first lives her image, the second wears a mask. And that difference is palpable. Your style is about your archetype. Jung called archetypes the ancient images that live in every woman. The great mother, the muse, the warrior, the healer. In some, one speaks, in others, several. But when you find clothing that resonates with your inner symbol, you no longer need excess. A woman who carries herself with dignity doesn't need brightness to be noticed. Sometimes just one scarf, one fragrance, one detail, and the room goes still, because her energy is gathered. She is whole. If you want your style to become your ally, not someone else's voice, start with questions. What makes me feel alive? What colors lift my mood? What shapes reflect my spirit? Don't be afraid to experiment. Try on not just clothes, but states of being. Allow yourself to be romantic, bold, elegant at different times. Because feminine power lies not in rigidity, but in change. And don't forget scent. Scent is the oldest language of the unconscious. One well-chosen perfume can linger in someone's memory forever, like a trace, a touch that needs no body. And speaking of memory, did you know that certain scents and compounds can also affect how your body processes fat, stress, even energy while you sleep? I'll tell you more near the end. It's something many are now exploring, and the results are surprising. Remember, style isn't about impressing, it's about expressing. If you feel peaceful, confident, and beautiful in your look, then you found your true path to self-expression, your I in material form. Jung believed that personality expresses itself not in noise, but in symbols, gestures, movement. Let your style speak for you, not as a mask, but as a message. Now for the next habit. It's not visible from the outside, but everyone feels it. That soft, quiet energy that cannot be copied and cannot be forgotten. Habit 4. Feminine energy, the gentle power that changes everything. In today's world, women are often taught to be quick, bold, and rational. But the more she drifts from her natural energy, the more she loses the kind of magnetism that requires no words. Carl Jung wrote that within every person reside the anima and animus, feminine and masculine essences. And only when a woman stops playing the role of a man in a skirt and returns to her authentic anima does she truly become herself, and therefore irresistible. Feminine energy is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the ability to influence not through pressure, but through presence. It's a quiet inner knowing. I don't have to fight to receive. Everything that is mine will find me, not because I am idle, but because I am in flow. I am at the center of myself. A woman awakened to her anima doesn't try to control everything around her. She doesn't carry the entire conversation, plan for two, or prove herself. She doesn't out-talk others. She listens. She doesn't argue to win. She stays silent to preserve peace. That is her strength. It's not a performance, not a strategy. It is deep knowledge that softness can bend even iron. Men feel such a woman through their skin. Her voice is slow and warm. Her movements, fluid. Her gaze doesn't judge. It welcomes. She is like warm air after a storm, refreshing, calm, and deeply desired. Being with her makes you want to slow down, to become better, to root yourself. And here's something powerful. When your feminine energy flows freely, not only do others feel it, but your body responds to it. Your breathing deepens, your metabolism shifts. And when you pair that state of ease with the right support, the results can be astonishing. There's something I'll share with you soon that could change how your body burns fat. Yes, even while resting. Jung believed that one reason men fear true femininity is because of its depth and mysterious power. A woman who is whole within herself awakens both shadow and light in a man. She touches his soul in places he didn't know existed, and that is why she cannot be ignored. To awaken this energy, stop trying to control everything. Learn to trust instead. Stop filling every silence. Let the stillness speak for you. Stop chasing love. Become the woman beside whom love arises on its own. Start practicing softness. Walk alone. Dance without rules. Take warm baths with lavender oil. Read by candlelight. These aren't trivial. They're a return home to yourself. And if a man is beside you, don't take over all the initiative. Ask, what do you suggest? And then be silent. That's not weakness. That's invitation. That's a message. I'm not chasing. I'm giving you space to show up. Feminine energy is like a river. It can be calm, it can be wild, but it never breaks. It flows and reshapes. Not with force, but with movement. Carl Jung wrote that the path to wholeness is the path of returning to oneself. Feminine energy is that return to softness, to the body's rhythm, to intuition, to natural beauty. It is a power that needs no explanation. It is simply felt. Now imagine you're not just a woman who radiates softness, but a woman whose voice and silence both leave a lasting impression. Habit 5. The art of conversation that stays in the heart. There are women you could talk to endlessly, not because they speak a lot, but because they speak differently. Their voice isn't just sound, it's vibration. Something deep within you responds. Their words aren't noise, they're meaning, and even their silence is eloquent. Carl Jung said, "How you speak is more important than what you say." That's why the verbal magic of a woman is not a collection of clever phrases, witty lines, or intellectual superiority. It's rhythm, pause, in her fullness. A conversation with such a woman is like jazz. It's not every note that matters, but the space between them. She knows when to fall silent, when to smile without explaining, when to answer with a glance, or leave a phrase unfinished so it lingers with intrigue. A man speaking to her doesn't feel analyzed or deconstructed. He feels heard. And that is rare. That is what keeps drawing him back. Such a woman speaks slowly. She's not in a rush. She doesn't fill silence with nervous chatter. Every word seems measured from within, not to impress but to create a space for connection. Jung wrote that true encounter happens where one unconscious touches another. That's why what you say is not the most important part of a conversation. It's how you allow the other person to unfold. And maybe here's the question. When was the last time you gave yourself space to unfold? What if the way you speak to yourself, your body, your rhythm, could be as tender and magnetic as your words? Because believe it or not, there are ways to support that internal dialogue through very real physical means. I'll reveal more soon, so keep listening. A woman who masters this art listens without interrupting, looks into your eyes, gently, without pressure, leaves part of herself in her silence, doesn't lay out all her cards at once. If asked, "What are your passions?" she doesn't list them off. She smiles and says, "That's a long story, I'll tell you someday." And with that, she sparks more interest than any long explanation ever could. If the conversation begins to fade, she doesn't cling. She might simply say, "I enjoyed this. Thank you," and walk away, leaving behind a fragrance, not a residue. She knows how to ask questions, not shallow ones, but meaningful. What do you value most about silence? When was the last time you felt truly alive? What place has changed you? These questions open doors because they don't aim to control, they aim to connect. And as a man answers, he feels himself becoming more real in her presence. That builds trust. A woman's voice is her instrument. It's not just an organ, it's a carrier of energy. So, don't raise your voice to be heard. Don't justify yourself to be understood. Don't rush your words to be remembered. When a woman speaks from her depths, her words stay in the listener's body, like an echo you want to hear again and again. Even the simplest, "I'm glad to see you," sounds like a gentle touch. Now imagine you're not just skilled in conversation, you've mastered the art of being without words. Your energy is quiet, yet powerful. The next habit is independence. And like all things truly great, it is born in your heart. Habit 6, independence, the radiance you can't look away from. True feminine attractiveness is revealed not when a woman becomes someone's better half, but when she becomes an entire world. A world with sun and shadow, stillness and motion, inspiration and peace. Carl Jung said we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And it's that awareness that gives birth to independence, not the external declarative kind, but the kind that is lived, endured, and embodied. A woman who has walked her path no longer seeks approval. She doesn't need someone to feel complete. She doesn't pretend to be independent. She breathes it. And this freedom becomes magnetic. A man near her doesn't feel pressure. He feels inspiration. He doesn't see a needy girl. He sees a woman standing tall, with her own goals, her passion, her mission. She doesn't dissolve into the relationship. She doesn't abandon herself for someone else's comfort. She doesn't sacrifice her dreams for the sake of acceptance. That is where her power lives. Her energy says, "I'm with you because I choose to be, not because I am empty without you." Jung believed that the path to the self is the path of separation from collective roles. The independent woman no longer plays the part of the good girl, the agreeable companion, or the perfect wife. She returns to herself, cutting away everything that isn't her essence. And yes, such a woman can be intimidating to weaker men because she can't be controlled with flattery or whim. She doesn't need promises, she needs action. She doesn't bargain for love, she chooses. And in that choice lives her bold, radiant, untamed freedom. To step into this state, find the work that sets your soul on fire. It doesn't matter if it makes money. What matters is that it gives you meaning. Surround yourself with people who energize you, not drain you. Learn to be alone, not out of loneliness, but from conscious presence with yourself. Independence means you're not waiting to be rescued. You've already saved yourself. Your mornings no longer begin with waiting for someone's message. They begin with a thought. What will I do today to come closer to myself? And so, the man beside you becomes not your anchor, but your companion, not your necessity, but your gift, not your center, but your ally. A woman living a full life shines, truly shines. She's like a star. She doesn't need an audience to glow, but that very light draws others in. It pulls in those who are ready, not to dim her, but to burn with her. Jung wrote that only those who become themselves can truly be with someone else. Independence is not loneliness. It is the space where real union becomes possible, without fusion. You are not a half, you are whole. And it shows in everything. In your stride, your words, the way you hold your cup, the way you say no, the way you meet your reflection in the mirror. Now, the final habit, the most subtle and the most underestimated, the one that defines the depth of your aura. Habit 7. Emotional maturity, your unshakable aura. There is something stronger than beauty, louder than words, and more powerful than charisma. It's the calm that surrounds a woman, her ability to be an anchor, not a storm. It's the way she doesn't fight life, but looks it in the eye, with acceptance, wisdom, and inner light. Carl Jung wrote that we don't grow by avoiding conflict, but by passing through it and understanding its meaning. An emotionally mature woman is not someone who hasn't felt pain. She's someone who has metabolized that pain, accepted it, and let it become her strength. She doesn't manipulate with tears. She doesn't demand instant answers. She doesn't get offended over nothing. There's no drama in her, only depth. She doesn't wound, and she doesn't allow herself to be wounded. Her presence is like a bowl of water, clear, still, yet able to reflect any sky. A man senses it. He knows. Before him stands not a girl in chaos, but a woman with inner clarity. She won't throw tantrums because she's not afraid of being herself. She won't chase him because she's not afraid of being alone. She won't play the victim because her adult self matters more than her ego. Jung believed that the path to real love begins with individuality, with separating yourself from fears, projections, and expectations. Emotional maturity is the fruit of that path, and it begins with a quiet decision. I no longer live on autopilot. How can you recognize such a woman? She responds with a pause, not a reaction. She listens not to reply, but to understand. She doesn't try to convince, she lets others be, and most of all, she guards her energy. She doesn't give it to those who can't value it. Emotional maturity is the ability not to strike back, even when hurt. It's the strength to leave conflict with dignity. It's the wisdom to be strong, not by suppressing emotion, but by knowing it. Practice this state. Take a deep breath before you respond. Listen to yourself before you say yes. Stay alone with your thoughts before sharing them. Your power lies not in your reactions, but in the conscious choice. When to speak, when to be silent, when to stay, and when to walk away. And that's what makes you profoundly attractive, because you become the kind of woman beside whom the world finds its rhythm. She is not a storm, she is the sea, quiet, deep, irresistibly magnetic. A man in her presence feels he too can be real, without masks, without panic, without games. An emotionally mature woman doesn't need grand declarations. She feels the truth in her skin. She doesn't hold on to the past. She lives in the present. And that is what makes her truly unforgettable. Attraction is not a game, not a trick, not a mask you throw on before a date. It is the natural outcome of deep inner work. You became magnetic when you stopped being convenient, when you stopped asking for love and started being love. Jung believed that the greatest task of a human being is to become oneself. And that is what makes a woman truly desirable. Her courage to be herself, not a copy, not a role. Herself, in her voice, in her walk, in her gaze, in her silence. The 7 habits you've just heard are more than wisdom. They're a path back to your true nature. Each one invites you to cut ties with the need for approval and step into the freedom of your most powerful self. And if you've come this far, you're ready for the next step, not just emotional alignment, but physical transformation. Because here's the truth, your body is always listening. And there's a fascinating discovery. A mysterious purple peel, recently studied for its ability to triple fat burning naturally, even while you sleep, without extreme diets or exhausting workouts. This isn't about selling. It's about sharing what could help you unlock your next level, from the inside out. You'll find the full details in the description of this video. Don't miss it. Let this be your moment. Let your presence become your power. Let your energy be the answer, and let your silence say it loud and clear. I am.